Hey guys, Captain Dylan Hubbard here at Hubbard's Marina, and it is time for that live stream show. Happy Sunday night, y'all, and welcome to the Sunday night live stream show. Hopefully you're ready to win some free stuff. That's right, every Sunday night right here at 7:30 p.m. we give away $1,500 in free stuff. We've got free trips, we've got free swag bags, and more. Plus, we're going to give away free tips. We're going to tell you what's going on now, what's coming up. We're going to talk about the weather, and we're going to answer your questions live. So hopefully you're ready for another great Off the Hook Off the Hook with Captain Dylan Hubbard live stream show every Sunday night at 7:30 p.m. on the Hubbard's Marina Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, Trovo, Twitch. We stream to a bunch of different platforms, a bunch of different channels, and we appreciate you being a part of our Hubbard's Marina family. So hopefully you're ready for a good show tonight. Want to make sure we give a shout out to our friends over at Gator Jim's Tackle for making the show possible and for presenting the show tonight. Gator Jim's Tackle is at 3301 Pinellas Point Drive South in St. Petersburg. If you haven't stopped by to see our friends at Gator Jim's Tackle, you are missing out. Stop by, say hello, tell them Hubbard's Marina sent you, and they got a free gift for a young angler if you bring one with you. And on top of that, they've got killer deals, an incredible selection. They're stuffed to the gills with incredible deals. So stop by and say hello to our friends at Gator Jim's Tackle. Again, 3301 Pinellas Point Drive South in St. Petersburg. We also have some new partners in Innovative Pools and Spa. They are a giveaway sponsor. We'll talk about them more in our first giveaway of the night. Also, want to make sure we give a shout out to you and our supporters group. Appreciate all of our supporters out there who help fuel the show and make what we do possible every Sunday night. If you're in our supporters group, we appreciate you. It is only $4.99 a month. That gives you private access to that private group. You get an after show every Sunday night, added value. You get more one-on-one communications, some behind-the-scenes stuff, some advanced notifications, and more. So definitely check out or think about becoming a supporter. It's a lot of fun. We have a good time in there, and you get a lot of behind-the-scenes looks, if you will. So check it out. Josh is going to drop the link in the chat there to become a supporter today. Also, we appreciate all of you for joining us, whether you're a supporter or not, for hanging out and joining us every Sunday night. We are going to be talking fishing. We always start the show off by showing you photos of what we're catching now. Then we get into the weather a little bit, make some announcements. Then we get into your questions. So if you have a question you want answered live during the show, drop it into the text message to the phone number on the screen. The phone number on the screen, you shoot us a text. That's how you get your question answered live. If you don't have a way to text us, it's impossible for us to see your comments because on Facebook, on YouTube, on Trovo, Twitch, TikTok, Instagram, those comments go really, really quickly, and we're streaming to multiple different platforms, so we might not have your platform open at the time of your comment. So if you want me to see your comment, if you want me to see your question, you have to text us to the phone number on the screen. Also, before we get into photos, you want to win some free stuff tonight, right? Hopefully you're hoping to win some free fishing trips. Hopefully you like free fishing trips. If you want to get out there and do some free fishing, you want a chance to win. In order to win tonight, you do have to comment one time on the Hubbard's Marina Facebook stream. So how you enter to win, go to Facebook, find the Hubbard's Marina page, give us a follow, give us a like, make sure you find the live video, give it a like, give it a share if you can. But you at least have to find the live video and comment. So comment on the Hubbard's Marina live video on Facebook. Comment once, anything. You can tell us where you're from. You can say hello. Comment anything. One time, you're entered for a chance to win. Then you can watch on YouTube. You can watch on Trovo, TikTok, Twitter. Wherever you want to watch or stream is fine. But in order to be eligible to win, you do have to comment one time on the Hubbard's Marina Facebook stream. Then you got to watch live, because if you're not watching live, you're not going to win. Because what happens is, randomly throughout the show, we're going to pick a time to randomly give away one of our random prizes. And you got 5 minutes or less to claim that free trip to prove you're watching live. So that's how it works. Random announcements, random selection. You got 5 minutes to claim it or it disappears. So you Got to watch live, got to comment, and it helps if you like, subscribe, follow all our different social medias as well. Now, with that, let's get right into these photos, show you guys what we're catching out there on the water. So first things first, we're going to start inshore, near shore, inshore, and show you what we're catching a little shallower. Then we'll work our way near shore and offshore. And we got some special photos to show you tonight as well. So first things first, some black drum action around the area right now. These little black drum are really good eating. If you haven't tried the schooly black drums, you're missing out. Big ones, not so great. Don't recommend. 10 out of 10, don't recommend. They get real wormy, and the meat gets super tough and not really good quality when they get big. But these small black drum, they're actually really, really good. Definitely enjoyable. So I would check it out for sure. Also, flounder. Incredibly good eating fish. And we're starting to see more and more flounder. As water temperatures continue to drop, we'll see more and more flounder. They generally bite better and better as we move into that like December, January, February time frame when it kind of hits its peak of flounder action. Redfish, starting to see them school up a little bit more, starting to see a little bit more concentrations of the redfish, and they're biting pretty darn aggressively as of late. So some nice action on the redfish around. Dan the Fishman, our own beloved YouTuber who fishes around Johns Pass quite a bit, has been on top of the reds, saying they're biting like crazy. Definitely some good redfish action around the mangroves, around the flats, around the oyster bars. We're seeing quite a few of them. As you can see from the photos. Some schooly snook around. This morning, the snook were fired up around the dock. While Captain Will and I were doing the video after the 39-hour trip got back in, it was actually distracting. The snook were popping so much. It was pretty wild. You could definitely hear them audibly popping and feeding so heavily. A lot of these schooly sized snooker though are the active ones we're seeing around the area, and even in the past. Bigger fish are definitely on the move and a little bit more lethargic. They're starting to move back into the bays. The smarter, bigger fish are already getting up near the mouths of the rivers and heading that way to the back and upper bay waters. That daytime photo period is getting shorter, and we're seeing those fish start to retreat because they know the cold weather is a-coming. Trout action's been going pretty well. Edges, potholes, a little bit of a deeper flat. But water temperatures have crept down a little bit, so it's making those trout move a little shallower. And we're seeing some pretty good trout action around the area pretty solidly. And especially out there around the pass, we've been seeing quite a few trout around the dock lights, bridge lights, that kind of thing as well. All right, now we showed you what we're catching inshore. We're going to work our way a little deeper and show you what we're catching near shore and off. Near shore and offshore, we're starting to see the hogfish. It was funny, in the supporters group today, someone actually asked about a hogfish report. I haven't had a chance to answer, James, but as far as a hogfish report goes, we are starting to see them a little bit more frequently. I wouldn't say the hogfish bite is really going well yet, but it's starting to pick up. We're starting to see more of them. In the summertime, we see 1, 2 hogfish here and there. Now we're starting to see 3 and 4 hogfish. Most of them have been pretty small, but we're definitely starting to see more hogfish action start. Nothing to write home about yet, but we're on the doorstep. We're on the precipice, if you will, of that hogfish action really picking up with those cold fronts. I would imagine some of the weather that's on the radar for this week might potentially start to make that hogfish bite a little bit more frequently. But as you can see from the photos here, we're starting to see some hogfish. We're starting to see them. Yellowtail. Been seeing some nice yellowtail. This is a near shore yellowtail. This is a 10-hour all-day yellowtail. Big, nice Elaine snapper. This is our friend Amy from Old Salts Fishing. Her and her other half, Tommy, will be on the show soon talking about the fall King of the Beach, and they're going to help us with our Fishing for Hope food and toy and food drive that we're going to talk about a little later tonight too. So big shout out to Amy and Tommy and the Old Salts crew. Mackerel. This is the other thing that's pretty exciting this time of year. Not only are we on the doorstep of the hogfish action, but we're on the doorstep of the mackerel really starting to get more thick around the area. This is actually an inshore photo. We're seeing more mackerel already in the bay on those deeper flats and around the mouth of the bay. And we started to see a few near shore too. Captain Garrett was running the 5-hour the other day, ran across a big old bait school, and it had a lot of mackerel around it. They trolled up some nice mackerel. We're starting to see quite a few mackerel south in the Anna Maria area. Boca Grande, even further south, has been seeing a lot of mackerel. So pretty cool to see the mackerel start to pick up. We'll see, again, more and more of them, especially as water temperatures creep down into the upper 70s. Right now, still pretty solid in the mid to upper 80s. So it's still pretty warm, and it's still pretty early to see a lot of mackerel. But they've started. They showed up a little bit. Nice big mangrove snapper. Definitely some big mangrove snapper have been caught as of late. We're seeing some good action on the half day, some family fun in the sun for sure. On the half-day trip, 10-hour trip's been doing well. This is our friend Bonnie showing off a nice stringer of lanes, some solid mangrove snapper in there, plenty of gray snapper and porgies too. So she crushed them on the recent 10-hour trips, and a lot of people have been doing well out there. Here's a 10-hour stringer. You can see a keeper hogfish on there, some nice lane snapper in there, even a nice mangrove and porgy and gray snapper too. The amberjack bite, been pretty solid as of late. Starting to see a good, consistent catch of these amberjack. And the 39-hour trip that got back this morning, we don't have any photos from it yet, but they did well as well on the amberjack. Occasional cobia. The gag grouper ended, but still have a few photos to show you from the end of gag grouper season. Some big mangrove snapper on the 12-hour night trip. And I heard today that there's some confusion around the 12-hour night trip. We do not stop offering the 12-hour night trip. They run all year. However, in the cooler months, generally October through around February, we only do 1 or 2 a month around the full moon. So we don't offer them 3 or 4 times a month like we do in the warmer months. In the cooler months, we generally only offer them around that full moon. So we did not stop the 12-hour night trip, but there are less of them offered when it gets cooler out. But they have been stroking some nice mangrove snapper. As you can see, the 12-hour night's been doing well. Now, also have some special photos here at the end for those in our supporters group. You know all about this. You've already seen these photos. For everybody else, I was at an FWC commission meeting this past week with the FWC down there in the Keys, and I was blessed to be able to bring my family down there with me. So this is my son Jack and a nice mangrove snapper we caught while yellowtail fishing out there off of Duck Key. We went on a private fishing charter with a group called Final. It was pretty cool. Had a great time. Let's see if I can make the photos change now. Also, besides doing the fishing charter, we had some dock fishing time with the kids. And the kids have mastered the art of the sabiki rig, and they were catching little French grunts, as this one is here, but they were also catching some nice little schoolmasters, some dog snapper, some baby muttons, some nice lanes, even a baby yellowtail, and a small barracuda. The kids were getting it dialed in. As you can see, my daughter there, my son and my daughter, they were really doing well out there fishing hard. So it was a good time with the family. There's a little baby mutton they caught together. They were pumped about that one. And it was a good time. Definitely beautiful down there in the Keys. The Keys fishery is just so unique. Here's a video of that fishing charter. We just got to the spot, anchored up, turned off the engines, and as soon as we turned off the engines, these fish came up off the reef. It was absolutely incredible to see those fish pop up so quickly. Water so clear, you could literally see the little rock piles and coral heads and ledges that we were fishing. And those yellowtails came up like crazy. We were casting out cut ballyhoo behind the yellowtails and seeing some really nice baby muttons, some nice mangrove snapper. It was a good time, definitely a good time. Nothing real huge was caught, but it was great for the kids, and that's what it was all about. family fun trip, catching some fish with the kids, and they had a good time. I had a good time, and we definitely enjoyed it. Plus, the FWC commission meeting went well. Was able to continue to build on the relationships with the commissioners, with the staff, and definitely got some good things accomplished there as well. So all in all, very positive trip and successful mission to the FWC commission meeting in the Keys this past week. So we showed you the photos of what we're catching now. We showed you some added photos. Now it's time to get into the weather, show you guys what's going on weather-wise. So we're going to pop on over to the Hubbard's Marina website page, hubbardsmarina.com. We're going to hit fishing trips at the top, and then we're going to hit the second one down, weather links. Once on our weather links page, we're going to click on over to the 5 and 10 hour forecast area. We've got some unique looking colors on this map, some very Florida colors. And as you can see, weather is nice today. Tomorrow's not bad. It looks pretty good overall tomorrow. And then Tuesday, it starts to pick up a little bit. And then Wednesday really starts to pick up. Thursday, they're calling for some 70-mile-an-hour gusts and 9.5-foot seas, almost 10-foot seas, which is a little nautical. So Thursday's all day, probably not a good idea. But tomorrow looks pretty good, and Tuesday looks fishable. So I would say Monday and Tuesday are probably going to be our goal, and fishing should be pretty good ahead of this little potential tropical storm or hurricane that's coming our way. So moving back to the weather links page, I like our ultimate storm forecast, spaghettymodels.com. We're going to pop on over to Mike's weather page. And here are some of the ensembles already loaded up, making it easy. This is the Euro ensemble, showing basically the black line is the mean or average of the ensemble runs. So pretty confident already that it is going to be some kind of panhandle event. But it really depends for us how much of a panhandle event it is. It looks like it's going to be a more northerly line. If it stays more than 100 miles to the west, that will help us. If it comes within 100 miles or less, that hurts us pretty bad. So we shall be watching this one pretty darn close to see how things stack up. This is the GFS ensembles. GFS is looking a little stronger overall, but I like how the GFS is keeping it a little bit more to the west, which would help us because, again, the further west it goes, the less of an effect it'll have on our area. Let's mop on over to the model runs on tropical tidbits, and let's look at southeast, and we'll see. This is GFS, so this is Thursday morning, later morning, midday, boom. That is a 941 millibars. If you're going by the old Saffir-Simpson scale, a 941 is a weaker side of a Cat 4. Cat 4 hurricane, according to GFS. Now, this is an 85. You can see, I don't know if you can see that, but I can see it. It has the center right around an 85, 10, 85, 20, and that means it'll be pretty far to our west. The 85 line is going to be quite a distance out there. We don't get to the 85 line, so that would be good if it stayed west of the 85 line. But if it was a Cat 4, it is going to be seriously circling a lot of wind towards us. Can you go to, Josh, can you type in weather? Actually, never mind, I have it right here. Wind finder. So Wind finder operates on the GFS model. So this is actually pretty cool because you can use Wind finder, and I can drop a little pin over here. All right, dropped a pin. We're going to zoom out a little bit, and we're going to go to Thursday at 11 a.m. So right there, it's got 60 miles an hour off our coast. Let's drop that pin a little closer. All right, so 48 miles an hour off our coast, blowing out of the southeast, which would be pretty good. It'd be sucking water out of the bay, but by 2 o'clock, it'd be 50 miles an hour out of the south, which would be pushing water into the bay, starting to flood Pinellas County pretty good. And then it would be 5 p.m., so we're looking at a solid couple hours, 6 hours potentially, maybe even more, like 10 hours potentially of either a south or southwest wind. And that south or southwest wind is what causes flooding in our area. So that's what we're paying attention to. If it stays on this kind of track, that would be our biggest concern for our area for sure. But we've got Capt Mike on the line, and we'll chat with him, get an update from him, and then we'll continue to dive in to all things fishing and weather. What's going on, Capt Mike? How are you, buddy?
I'm good, my brother. How are you?
Good. Just talking about some potential weather impacts this week, potentially.
Yeah, I thought you might be.
Yeah, man.
A little crazy.
Little nautical. What's crazier is I didn't have a chance to show everybody yet, but we can while you're on the phone. What's really crazy is the potential for what's behind this. So this is the storm, for those who are watching the stream, this is the storm we were just talking about. This is Friday. So storm's gone, cool, weekend. Oh, yay, we're cleaning up from the storm. Yay. Next week, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. And they have some, oh, it changed, good. Now it's over here. You can't see it, but they had earlier on the last model run, which was 12Z, yeah, they had another one right behind it, Tuesday, October 8th. So, like, literally 7 days behind the hurricane this week. They had another one coming, basically the same spot. So the model runs just updated, and the 18Z model has that storm not affecting our area, which would be good because we don't need back-to-back storms.
No, for sure not. Water
Good.
problems would be significant. Yeah, yeah, no doubt.
For sure. We're already. That's a big concern too. You just hit the nail on the head. We're already really, really water heavy in our area. We've got so much rain. The ground is already so wet. Lakes are full, drainages are full. So if we get a big rain event here and we get another 10, 12, 20 inches of rain, that would not be good.
No, exactly. That's kind of my fear too. You know, even obviously you don't want it to come here because that would be catastrophic. But even if we get a big, tropical storm that just dumps gobs of water on top of us, it could be trouble for a lot of people just from the standpoint of we've had so much rain here recently. So, there's still so much fresh water in the systems. I was actually on the Alphi River today in the 18 KO, and it's just so tannic. I mean, there's just still so much water pulling out of the river systems.
You were in micro skiff? Did you wear a life jacket?
I was. I did not, but I did have them with me.
One on each
I
foot.
was prepared. I was prepared. I actually leave tomorrow morning for Charleston to go fish the flood tides up there.
Ooh, that'll be fun.
Going to fish tomorrow afternoon and then all day Tuesday, and then see what the storm is doing. Either I'll drive back Tuesday night or I will wait until Wednesday morning, depending on what that storm looks like. So
I think you'll be all right Wednesday morning. It'll just be a windy ride home. But
that's okay.
Should be interesting to see how it shakes out. I'm hoping it stays pretty far west of us. But if it does that northernly jaunt by us, I mean, Adalia was a Cat 3, and it was every bit of about 100 miles from us, and it brought us about maybe 4 or 5 foot of water into Johns Pass, brought some pretty serious flooding. So if this is a Cat 4 and it gets within 100 miles of us, it could bring us a lot of water, a lot of flooding. So that's
is that what they're calling for? Is there any?
GFS model has it as a Cat 4. It's been pretty consistent. The last 3 model runs have had it as a Cat 4 intensity level, but other models don't show that. So there is definitely not model consistency on strength, but there is model consistency on landfall area, kind of conish, and most model consistency has been kind of anywhere from eastern Louisiana to western panhandle of Florida. Anywhere from like Panama City Beach to the mouth of the Mississippi has kind of been the consensus of the model runs as far as direction of the storm. But it's still kind of early. It still could change, but it wouldn't change that much now that we're 4 or 5 days out, you know. But intensity levels can definitely vary drastically based on, does this storm move a little west and catch a lot of Yucatan Peninsula and get broke up by some mountains? Does it move a little east and hit Cuba and get broke up by some mountains? Does it stay over that warm water and just perfectly thread the needle between Cuba and Yucatan and get stronger? Those are all questions. So it's hard to say.
Yeah, interesting. I've got a big group trip there on Friday that we're supposed to get in, and a charter on Thursday when I get back.
Isn't there a memorial tournament this weekend as well? The Richard Seward, right?
Richard Seward thing is Saturday and Sunday. Exactly. Yeah. Not looking so great.
Hopefully, we'll be able to wiggle that around and things work out.
Maybe we'll get lucky. We'll see, my friend. We'll see. Fishing's been good.
Yeah, man.
The boys are catching quite a few cobia. That bite's been pretty solid out there. So
fishing the buoys along the beach.
Actually, fishing some nearshore reefs and wrecks.
Nice.
That cobia bite was pretty good this week, I heard. So that was kind of interesting. Mackerel bite was super solid. Overall, just pretty good fishing. Lots of trout, still lots of redfish. So, overall pretty good. Lots of bait.
Is that mackerel in the bay, or you're finding mackerel along the beaches already?
In the bay.
Okay.
Up in the bay still. Yeah, pretty solid. So
south of the Skyway?
Cool. No, up in the bay.
Wow.
So up in the bay. And some stuff close to the Skyway. Some grass flats out there around the clam bar. All that stuff's holding mackerel. So, I wouldn't be surprised if there's some along East Beach. All those areas where you have a bunch of that fry bait, a bunch of small bait around. The areas that are usually pretty good for trout fishing this time of year, especially where you have any kind of depth. Anything in that, maybe 5 to 7, 5 to 8 foot of water.
Mm-hmm.
I would think the mackerel would be pretty strong there. I would guess the grass out there by Egmont, that's probably a pretty good spot. So,
nice.
I think there's quite a bit of opportunity out there right now for the mackerel, which is cool. Again, the trout bite's been good. That redfish bite just remains ridiculous, which is completely mind-blowing. They did move around a lot.
Yeah.
We had these big tides with this supermoon, so the fish, moved around a lot. Everybody I talked to said they were, on them one day here, and then the next day they had to go looking for them and found them somewhere else. So kind of an interesting deal there.
Moving around. Yeah. Well, that's good reports all the way around.
Yeah, really good. As long as, like I said, we can keep the, fresh water off of this a little bit. Hopefully things will kind of go our way. We'll see.
All right, man. Well,
all right.
Have a safe drive, safe travels, and I'm sure we'll be talking this week.
Yes, sir. Sounds good to me. I look forward to getting with you on the radio on Saturday, hopefully.
Yes, sir. We'll see you then.
All right, partner. All right, brother. Have a great show.
All right, man. See you, buddy.
All right, buddy. See you.
And as we remember, don't forget, October 8th, if you want to come hang out with Captain Mike and myself and Captain Travis Thompson, this coming Tuesday, October 8th, so not this coming Tuesday, but coming up Tuesday, October 8th, from 6 to 8 p.m., we'll be at Bartow Ford. So October 8th, 6 to 8 p.m., Bartow Ford. We got a free Bull Bay rod to give away. We got some free Engel Cooler swag and an Engel Cooler to give away and Real Animals swag. And we'll have some of these Yes on 2 hats to give away. And we'll have some Yes on 2 yard signs to give away. And we'll be talking fishing, hunting, inshore, offshore. And there's free food, free drinks. It's a great time. So hopefully we'll see you out there. Again, that's October 8th, Tuesday, October 8th, 6 to 8 p.m., Bartow Ford. Also, November 23rd, we've got Fishing for Hope Food Drive. Josh will drop the link to that Facebook event in the chat. If you haven't seen it already, you definitely want to come and check out that Facebook event link. Make sure you click going. Make sure you click interested. Help us to spread the word. Again, it's a Facebook event. It is the Fishing for Hope Food Drive. We're going to drop it in the chat on Facebook, YouTube, and even TikTok let us do it. So that's cool. But check it out. Click going. Click interested. Help us to spread the word. We want as many people to show up as possible. We're trying to collect toys and food for those less fortunate in our area. If you can't make it in person, there's even going to be a way that you can donate online. So if you can't make it in person, you can send a check, mail a check. You can donate online, or you can send someone in your place. But definitely looking forward to that event. That is going to be Saturday, November 23rd. All the information is at the link that we are putting in the chat as well. And then finally, want to make sure we remind you guys we are doing our pre-orders, our orders for the Yes On 2 hats on our website. So on shop.hubbardsmarina.com, you can find the Yes On 2 hats for cost. It costs us about $14.50 or so to print these hats. We're selling them for cost, and then you cover shipping, and we'll ship them to your house, or you can stop by and pick them up for cost. So it is up to you how you want to do it, but go on the website, shop.hubbardsmarina.com, if you want to get one ordered. Also, the Yes On 2 Florida, can you navigate there, Josh? YesOn2Florida.com. Josh will drop the link in the chat for you guys too. But if you go to the website, YesOn2Florida.com, there is at the top there's a shop option. I found this. They actually just recently created this. So if you want a yard sign and you can't meet us at Hubbard's Marina, I've got about 25 of them left at Hubbard's Marina. So if you want to stop by Hubbard's Marina, I'll give you one of mine. But if you can't stop by, if you live in a different city or whatever, you can go to YesOn2Florida.com and hit shop, and you could order a hat, you can order a sweater, a different variety of swag to represent. So check it out. And there's a lot of ways to show your support for Yes On 2 Florida. Remember, this is a Florida amendment number 2. So definitely excited to make hunting and fishing a constitutional right in our state. We need your help. Tell your friends, tell your family, and help spread the word. Vote Yes On 2. All right, so we talked about the weather. We talked about our FWC meeting. Amberjack season is rocking and rolling. We're catching quite a few of them. Amberjack season stays open until the end of October. We've got lighter loads right now. The 39-hour trip that just got back in this morning had less than 30 people on it. We've got other trips coming up with like 15, 17, 18 people on them. So super light 39-hour trips. We've got super light 12-hour extreme trips. We've got tons of 10-hour all-day trips with 20, 22, 23 people. So light loads during the week, light loads on our long range trips, plenty of room, great fishing going on for sure. Seasons wise, remember amberjack season until the end of October. Then we've got plenty of time to focus on all these yellowtails, mangroves, and all the other great eating fish we've been seeing. Big old pile of fish this morning on the 39-hour trip. So plenty of fish to go out there, catch, and keep as well. With that, I think we've covered all our announcements. We've told you what we've been catching. We showed you the photos. We talked about the weather. So I think it's time to get into your questions. What do you want to talk about? What questions do you guys have? So remember, if you have a question you want answered live during the show, there's a phone number on the screen. You do have to text us your full question to that phone number. For sure. All right, so let's see what questions do we have to get rolling tonight. Do we have any TikTok questions to get started? Sometimes those are a little easier to find. Why are your trip pole so heavy. Seemed like overkill. Took a trip once. So it depends on what trips you take, right? Our 5-hour half day, the rental rods are definitely going to be a little heavier for what we're catching, right? Because we're catching those gray snapper. It's a first-time angler's trip. We're not very far from shore. We're not catching anything real big. So the rods and reels can seem like overkill. And they have to be a little bit stronger than we need because they have to stand up to daily abuse. So rental rods and reels are always going to be a little bit more tougher, a little bit more stronger than potentially is needed because they have to stand up to the abuse of the first-time fishermen who might not know how to work it or how to hold it or how to be gentle with it. So generally, we're going to have a little bit of a beefier rod for that reason. In a perfect world, we would be using spinning rods and reels for everybody. But a spinning rod and reel, I mean, you'll look at it the wrong way. If you're not completely gentle with it and really taking care of it, it's going to break eyes. It's going to break in half. And you're going to bang the reel on the rail. They're just not going to hold up. The life of a spinning rod and reel, we rent spinning rods and reels in our office to fish the dock. And we're lucky to get about 4 rentals before the rod just totally falls apart because of how difficult they are to kind of hold up and hold together. So we have to use conventionals. We have to use a little bit more bulletproof tackle, unfortunately. So I always suggest to people, if you're going to come fishing, come out, try a rental rod and reel, get the hang of it, see if you like it. If you like it, then maybe think about investing in a rod and reel. You can get a combo for pretty cheap nowadays. 100, 150, 200 bucks gets you something decent to fish with. Even 80 bucks can get you something decent to fish with. So if you're going to fish a lot, it makes sense to potentially invest in some rental or into some personal tackle. But it depends on your budget and what you're doing, if you're traveling, that kind of thing. But definitely is the way to go is as you mature in your fishing and you go fishing more often, you can then start investing in some of your own private tackle. All right, let's see. What other questions do we have? Been thinking about pulling the trigger on a 39-hour trip. What are we targeting and where do we sleep? I don't know if that's a live show question. It doesn't seem like a live show question, but we are targeting everything right now except for the fish that are not open. So we're getting mainly amberjack, triggerfish, mangrove snapper, yellowtail snapper. We're seeing some scamp, some mutton, some African pompano, but we've got lots of vermilions, porgies, albicos. You've got a chance for some of the pelagics like the kingfish, the blackfin tuna, the wahoo, maybe a cobia. So we're definitely seeing some nice varieties of fish. And as far as where you sleep, when you book a trip with us on a 39-hour trip, you choose a spot to fish and you choose a spot to sleep. And we do have a layout of our boats online, so you get an opportunity to kind of choose where you want to sleep. But yeah, it's comfortable. It's a big bunk. I'm a tall, larger gentleman, and I fit in there and sleep in there nicely. So plenty of areas to sleep, and you book your sleeping spot when you book your fishing spot. All right, next question. I am an extreme newbie, but I would like to try reeling in a big fish. What trip should I book? I always recommend for new anglers starting out, start with a 5-hour. Get the hang of it. See if you like it. See if you handle the offshore conditions, and then slowly work your way up to a 10-hour. Then maybe do a 12-hour night. Then maybe do a 12-hour extreme. So as long as you start slowly and work your way up slowly, you're going to have a much better experience. If you try to jump to some of those long-range overnight trips, specialty angler trips as a beginner or extreme newbie, as you said yourself, it can definitely create such a steep learning curve that it makes it difficult for you, the people around you. You just don't have a positive experience. So I always like people to have a good time, and I want people to continue to fish. So I like to try to lower that learning curve and ease people into it. Kind of like the boil in a crab, right? If you throw them into boiling water right away, they freak out. But if you bring it to a boil slowly, they're chilling. You know, it's the same thing with kids fishing, with new anglers. It's the same thing with anything. you want to start slow. You can't just go 0 to 100 real quick, or it tends to not be a good situation. It doesn't lend itself to a successful experience. So I suggest starting slowly. However, the trick, the cheat code would be maybe a 5-hour shark trip. We don't have any of them now that the waters have cooled down, or really we're getting into that time of year where it generally starts to cool down. We stop offering the shark trips this time of year, but spring and summer we have those shark trips, those 5-hour night trips, and that would be an opportunity for you to get out there on a shorter trip and reel in a really big fish. You could also do a private charter. So booking like a 5-hour private shark fishing trip would be the best way to do it, because you'd have one-on-one time, more experienced captain and crew kind of watching you one-on-one, and we could go out there and hook you a Goliath grouper or a shark for you to reel in. So that would be a great option as well. All right. What other questions do we have? Oh, Josh is reminding me it's time to do our first giveaway of the night. You're right, Josh. It's been a while. We haven't started yet. Let's do a 5-hour half day for 2 guests. 5-hour half day for 2 guests. Lucky winner is Christopher Pernack. What? I don't know what city that is, but Christopher Pernack, you are the lucky winner of the 5-hour half day for 2 guests. You got 5 minutes or less to claim your free trip by texting us your full home address to the phone number on the screen. Y'all ever run into mahi-mahi in the Gulf? Yes, we do, quite a bit. I don't know why I added a country accent, but I went for it. Yes, we do. We see mahi-mahi quite a bit in the summer. We do see them occasionally other times a year, depending on water temperatures and where that currents are running. But we definitely see mahi-mahi quite a bit. I wouldn't say quite often, but quite a bit. Warmer months, it's more common to see those chicken dolphins. Cooler months, we're generally seeing more commonly a little bit of a bigger dolphin grade. But definitely see mahi-mahi. Further south, more common. The Keys is kind of the mahi-mahi destination along our coast. But they're cooler months down there, ironically. Going out October 1st, 39-hour trip. What size hooks for amberjack? Depends. What size bait? If you are going out in the 5-hour half day and getting baits like this, you're going to want some 12-aught, maybe even 14-aught hooks. If you don't have time to get some really big baits and you're using trap baits or what we have available on the boat, you're going to be using what fits in a trap, which is generally the biggest size. Is going to be maybe 4 to 6 inches. Then you might only need a 8 to 10-aught hook. So it depends on the size bait you have available and the size bait you're using. I always tell people bring some 8s, some 10s, maybe some 12s. Because you might catch a fish you can use for bait out there, like a porgy. You never know. So using the hook size is going to depend on your bait. But you want to make sure you have a reel with as much drag as possible. At least 40 pounds is a good suggestion. A 2-speed reel in low gear is a good idea. So low gear ratio, 2 to 1, 3 to 1 gear ratio, 4 to 1 at most. Higher drags, 40 pounds or better drag capacity. Generally 80 or 100 pound test, maybe even 125 pound test. Generally a bigger weight if you're using a big live bait as well. What bait should I keep for amberjack if I fish the 5-hour and do the 39-hour after that? That is the best way to do it, doing a 5-hour trip before a 39-hour and get some really big baits. Gray snappers or white grunts, porgies, really anything you catch on a 5-hour is going to be a really good amberjack bait. But the white grunts are pretty hardy and they hold up well in the live bait tanks. So I would suggest focusing on the gray snapper or the white grunts for sure. Is a 10-hour trip in January going to be on the Hub versus the larger boat? Yes, and they are currently bookable. January 6th through February 17th, I want to say. Might be January 7th through February 17th, but I'm 99% sure I'm right. The 10-hour trip will be on the hub during that period, and we have those special trips for those who know what you're asking about or are interested in it. The supporters knew about that probably 2 months ago because we announced it in the supporters group as soon as I put them in the system and made them bookable. But yeah, you can book your 5 hours, your 10 hours, your non-specialty trips for next year, 2025. You can book those now. 5 hours, 10 hours, dolphin tours, island trips, shelling trips. You can book your 2025 trips now. If you want to book a 12-hour, a 39-hour, a 44-hour, those trips will not be bookable until December 1st at 11 a.m. December 1st at 11 a.m., that's when our schedule for 2025 specialty trips will open. What is the website to order the Vote Yes on 2 merchandise? You can vote. You can get all the merchandise on Vote Yes on 2 Florida. Yes, what is it? It's Vote Yes on 2, right?
Yes.
Yeah, Vote Yes on 2, the number 2, Florida.com, and then hit shop, and they have all the merchandise. If you want one of these hats, the black camo hats, we have those on shop.hubbardsmarina.com. And if you want a free yard sign, I have about 25 left. You can stop by the marina and pick one up. If you can't stop by the marina, go to voteyesonto florida.com and order a yard sign for them, and they will ship it to you. All right. Let's see, what other questions do we have? Would my Speedmaster 30 and 8K Saltist MQ on an extra heavy rod suffice for a 12-hour extreme? No. The 8K Saltist MQ would be a awesome reel for maybe a flat line, but definitely not for bottom fishing. Speedmaster 30 would be sufficient for bottom fishing, for sure. But the spinning reels don't work for bottom fishing, especially in deeper water. They have plenty of drag, but their gear ratio is high, so they don't have the power to horse up a big fish. And the biomechanics of the way you hold a spinning reel is not conducive for bottom fishing. You don't have any torque or leverage on the fish. If I take the ferry to Egmont Key Island, can I take a fishing pole and a shrimp bucket? And if so, are there spots close by to the ferry landing to fish? Yes, 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 and yes again. You can fish from Egmont. You can bring a fishing rod and reel, tackle, and bait out there. And there is tons of good fishing off of Egmont Key. There's a little ferry dock there in the wintertime. The sheep's head get under it pretty heavy. There's a little grass flat there. We see some redfish around it, some trout around it. There's also on the very northern tip of the island a 90-foot hole where some of the biggest bull sharks in Tampa Bay cruise. So you can definitely shark fish pretty successfully off the beach as well. So yeah, definitely good fishing out there. Your thoughts on fluorocarbon leader versus using fluorocarbon monofilament line? So there's fluorocarbon and there's monofilament. And then there's leader material. So fluorocarbon, monofilament, and then leader material. So the leader material is neither mono, neither or fluorocarbon. It's kind of like a little bit more expensive than monofilament, but cheaper than fluorocarbon. I use mono for my main line and fluorocarbon for my leader. I don't mess with that leader material stuff. Those are the general 3 categories things fall into. Everybody has their own preference. Salt Strong actually has a lot of really interesting videos on monofilament versus fluorocarbon, and they claim monofilament is actually sometimes better. I don't know. I've always used fluorocarbon as leader, monofilament as main line, but that's me. Multi-part question. When checking the forecasted weather prior to going out fishing, whether inshore, nearshore, or offshore, what are you looking for in regards for a perfect day or a great day of fishing? What is the priority in order from most important to least important? Interesting. All right, what was the second half of that? To clarify, it said, to clarify, aside from obvious wind, surf, rain, what other maybe not so obvious things are people often overlook? Trends. Trends are what people often overlook. So if you go to our weather links page, we'll show you some ideas of that. So Going over to hubbardsmarina.com. Actually, let's do a giveaway real quick, and then I'll cover this. Let's do one more giveaway, Josh. Wait, do I have to change screens? I do have to change screens, don't I? My bad. All right, we did our 5-hour giveaway. Let's do our swag pack giveaway for one lucky winner. Swag pack giveaway. Lucky winner is... Nathan West from Trinity, Florida. Congratulations, Nathan. Text us your full home address, and we will get you out a swag pack. We need your full home address and your t-shirt size as well. So get us out your full home address and a t-shirt size in a text message within 5 minutes to prove you're watching live. All right, back to the hubbardsmarina.com website. Clicking fishing trips, clicking weather links. We're going to go to the 5 and 10 hour forecast area, and boom. We're looking for what's the best day to go fishing. Well, we've got some weather coming in. This is a low pressure. A low pressure is a cold front or tropical storm. This is going to be potentially a tropical storm or hurricane. So we know that low pressure is going to be approaching, which means barometer is going to be falling, which means fish are going to be excited and feeding actively. So fishing is probably going to be really good as this storm approaches. So Monday looks like a great day to go fishing. We've got some moderate winds. We've got low seas. We've got sunny conditions. We have some pretty decent tidal flows still, even though we're on a quarter moon. Tuesday, maybe will be good because we have that storm approaching, but winds are already starting to be picking up, so that might make it a little bit tougher. Tuesday's more of a gamble. It could be really good or it could be really tough. Then Wednesday is going to be kind of crappy because it's just going to be too rough, too windy. At least that's what the forecast says now. That could change. Thursday obviously is not fishable if this forecast holds true. Hurricane moves through the area. Friday starts to calm down as that storm moves out of the Gulf. Fish start to freak out, or fish were holed up. They concentrate on those big ledges and rock piles, and they're taking shelter from the storm, just like you and I. Friday, the water's all stirred up and muddy. Those fish are still in the holes, even though the weather's starting to calm down. Saturday, they start to venture out. Just like you and I, weather calms down, weather passes, things clear up. We come out of our hibernation, and we shake off our hurricane snacks and start to move around a little bit, maybe clean up the yard. Saturday, the fish are doing the same thing. They're starting to come out of the holes. They're looking around. They might eat a snack or two, but water's really stirred up. They're just trying to clean up their yard. Saturday, things are getting back to normal. Winds have calmed down. Seas are calming down. Fish are going to start picking up, especially offshore and deeper water where the water isn't as stirred up as much. The bite's probably going to pick right back up and be really good Sunday offshore. Probably Monday, according to this forecast, near shore weather will pick up and really be good there probably by Monday or Tuesday, depending on how stirred up those water conditions get. Basically, behind the storm, wind has got to calm down, seas have got to calm down, and water's got to clear up. A lot of people get super hung up on moon phase or currents or one or two variables. There's so many other variables that affect fishing, and it's not a science. Ultimately, all the variables could line up, and it could still be a tough fishing day. Fish could not cooperate with you. So don't get too wrapped around the axle trying to pick out the perfect day. I would always suggest to people, what my dad always told me is, hey, just go fishing and enjoy your time out in the water. If you catch fish, that's even better. And if you get too wrapped around the axle of, oh, this is the best day to go, Capt Mike mentions it a lot. There's so many days where you go out there and you're like, well, if we just had a cold front, water's all stirred up, fish aren't going to bite. You go out there and the fish bite really well, and it makes you look dumb. Or vice versa. It's like things are lined up. This should be a good day. Tides look great. Fish should be chewing. You go out there and the fish just don't cooperate, don't chew. So it's not a science. It's not a perfect mixture, but with experience, with knowledge, with practice, you can get the overall trends down and be a little bit more successful a little bit more often. But it's definitely an educated guessing game. But look for trends and don't focus on specific variables would be my suggestion. Those are the secrets to picking out a good weather day. All right, let's see. We gave away our 5-hour. We gave away our swag pack. Let's do our 10-hour all-day trip for one lucky winner, 2 guests. 10-hour all-day trip for 2 guests. Lucky winner is, drum roll, Mary Ann Benedicts. Congratulations. You've got 5 minutes or less to send us a text message with your full home address so we can send you out that 10-hour all-day trip for 2. All righty. Let's see. What other questions do we have?
That's going to be too long.
What is your opinion on this year's gag season? That is a whole separate show. It sucked. It was too short. Fishing kind of sucked too, but that's by design. We talked about it last week's show, pretty in depth. So if you really want to hear about the gag season, I would go back and watch last week's live show. We spent probably 10 minutes talking about it, but it definitely was too short. Next year should be much longer. Should be at least a month, if not a little bit more. Let's see. What other questions do we have? What line, hook, and bait setup is your go-to for catching flounder from shore? I personally would be throwing a DOA shrimp artificial lure, and I would match it to the watercolor. If the water's really clear, I'd be using like a clear or chartreuse. If it's really dirty, I'd be using like a root beer. I'd use a DOA shrimp, match it to the watercolor, and then I would cast it out and retrieve it excruciatingly slowly along the bottom, just right on the bottom. Super slow turning of the handle. Every now and again, just barely twitching my wrist, not moving my rod tip very much, just twitching my wrists a little bit. If you cast a long ways, it should take you 10 minutes to reel it in, like really slowly, because it's mimicking a shrimp. Shrimp don't swim fast. You also got to mind the current. If you're fishing, if I'm fishing the North Jetty of Johns Pass facing south, that means I'm looking into the channel and the tide's going out. So the tide's going this way. I wouldn't cast down current. So if the tide's going this way, I wouldn't cast down here with the tide and then work the lure back to me. That would mean the shrimp is swimming against the tide. That's not natural, and it doesn't look right. Fish won't bite it. If the tide's going this way, you've got to cast up tide and work your lure with the tidal flow, because that's how a shrimp would normally swim. So you got to make sure you're presenting your bait naturally. And the same thing applies offshore with dead bait. If you hook your bait funky and you let it spin on the way to bottom, by the time you get to bottom, it's going to look like shit. And you're not going to get a bite. So when you're fishing inshore with artificial lures, you got to think like a fish. Where is that fish going to sit? Where is it ambushing bait? Where can it sit and expend the least amount of energy? Where can it hide and not be in the current but be able to feed easily? That's my ambush point, and I want to present my bait with the current. I want to cast up tide, and I want to make sure that bait is looking natural by the time it hits that ambush point. That's thinking like a fish, presenting your bait naturally. Offshore, it's the same thing. We talk about it in past shows. You go to a really nice restaurant, that 4-star restaurant, you're with your better half, you're on your one date night, somebody's got the kids, and you go out to dinner, and they drop you off a plate, and all the food's mixed up, and it looks like someone in the back just threw it all on the plate. It doesn't look appetizing. It's disappointing. Whereas if it comes out and it's got a nice little garnish and it kind of all set up real nice and has a good presentation, it looks more appetizing. You're just subconsciously going to want to eat it more. Same thing for the fish. And if you have that bait hooked really straight, you've got that leader nice and stretched out, you're keeping that line tight enough to feel the lead but not make the lead disturbed on the bottom. You're not creating those little puffs of sand. You're keeping the bait still, the lead still. You're making sure it's nice and stretched out and straight. It's more appetizing. You're more likely going to get a bite from a smarter, bigger, more quality fish. So, got to think like a fish. Got to present that bait naturally. Have you ever eaten tilefish? Tilefish is very good, extremely good. How do you recommend we cook it? Same way I cook all my fish. The Hubbard's Marina secret family recipe. That's not so secret. It's right on our website. If you go to hubbardsmarina.com and you click fishing trips, under fishing trips, click fishing video links. Under fishing trips, fishing video links, click fishing tips and tricks. Once you're on the fishing tips and tricks page, underneath the general tips section, we have 2 different videos on how to cook fish. Captain Dylan Hubbard's Seafood Secrets. So, not so secret anymore. The videos are right there for you. So check it out. That's the best way to do it if you're going to do it at home, or stop by the Friendly Fisherman restaurant and let them cook it before you leave. That's the best. It's easy. Super easy that way. How deep do you fish with mono? We only fish about 250 foot deep at most, and you can fish with mono that deep, no problem. Especially in today's world with these nice quality rods that are around. I mean, you don't need braided line for any of the fishing that we do, except if you're slow pitch jig fishing, or if you're using a spinning rod and reel and you're on a 10-hour targeting hogfish. With the spinning rod and reel, the hogfish braided line helps a lot. Slow pitch jigging, you got to use the braided line. Outside of those 2 things, use mono. Mono means no top shot, super easy. You can use braid. If you fish braid, though, you got to have a top shot, and the top shot makes it much more technical, much more difficult, and definitely more tricky. All right. When Captain Mike talks about cobia on nearshore reefs and wrecks, what do you use for bait and how do you rig, present? He is talking about cobia on those 3 to 9 mile wrecks. Those guys he's talking about do not have federal permits, so they have to stay inside 9 miles. So there's some of those artificial wrecks, Madeira Beach Reef, South County Reef. A lot of these reefs are inside 9 miles, so they go out there, and a lot of times they're going to be using crabs for permit, or even cobia like crabs too, but also I like throwing a jig head. You can get like a bucktail. Think like a spro jig, specifically a white spro jig, like a 1/2 ounce to 1 ounce. And then you could put like a Senko worm, like one of those bass worms, like one of those 6 to 9 inch watermelon or new penny or root beer colored worms on that pretty big spro jig. So you've got the lead, and you've got the little white feathers in that bucktail jig, and then you've got that 6-9 inch rubber worm, and that's going to mimic an eel, and it's going to give you the weight that you need to cast it. And that's a really good artificial bait to cast at cobia. You're sight fishing for cobia, so you're up in the tower, you're looking for those fish. That's how they're doing it. You can also use pinfish, tail hook pinfish, 40-pound fluorocarbon leader, little 3/0 circle hook or 2/0 circle hook works well. You can use shrimp even a lot of times for the cobia. But crabs and eels are generally go-to options. At least that's what I would do. I don't know what Mike and his buddies do, but I'd put money on the fact that it's one of those 2 things. Let's see. Next question. How many trips a year do you have to take to get a discount? So we have the Regulars Club, if that's what you're asking about. If you go to hubbardsmarina.com again, go to hubbardsmarina.com under fishing trips, go down to fishing trip information, and then go down to the Regulars Club information. And the Regulars Club information's got a nice little video, tell you about the Regulars Club, and then it lays out the 3 different clubs and the discounts you get. Our top level club, the Florida Fisherman Club, gives you 50% off 5 and 10 hour trips, 30% off 12, 39, and 44-hour trips, $50 off the 12-hour extreme, 20% off merchandise. It's $400 plus tax per year to join, and there is a first-time sign-up fee as well. But these are the prices of the trips after the discount has been applied, so you can save quite a bit of money on these trips if you're in the regulars club, but it does require 15 trips a year to commit to qualify. So basically, our regulars club will open for 2025 December 1st. So you can sign up December 1st at 11 a.m. for the regulars club, and you would be a member all of 2025 getting discounts. But you'd have to commit to doing 15 trips a year. 39-hour trips do count as 2. So check out the website, check out the video. It kind of lays everything out, and definitely is an interesting option. It makes fishing often more affordable. It's a loyalty program. It's not a discount program. It's not a way to discount the trips. It's a way for you to get rewarded and go fishing more often for less money. So if you're going fishing 15 times a year, it makes it more affordable to be able to go fishing 18 times a year, 20 times a year for the same amount of money. What happens if you don't go on the minimum amount of trips? We don't hunt you down and ask you for more money, but it doesn't make financial sense. And you wouldn't be allowed back in the clubs the following year if you didn't meet the minimums, essentially. So if you sign up for the top level club, it requires 15 trips a year. You only do 3, you've wasted money because you spent $400 plus tax to join. There's a first-time sign-up fee. You saved a little bit of money on the couple trips you did, but you didn't earn back what you initially invested, right? So your initial investment is pretty high to join the club, so you got to go fishing quite a bit to make that money back and then start to receive the benefit of the club. So it really makes financial sense to do those minimums because then you start to be financially successful and it makes sense to join the clubs. If you don't meet the minimums, it doesn't make financial sense to join the clubs. That's kind of how it's structured. And ironically, the regulars club started back in the 60s, I want to say. The 60s, and been around a while, for sure. Are the prices changing this year for the regulars club? We did not change prices at all in 2024, even though prices of everything have gone up. So I cannot say with any certainty what our plans are for 2025. We are going to evaluate that in the next couple months and see what we can do. But we're always going to try to keep prices the same or as affordable as possible, if at all possible. But we really have to do some thinking about where we're at and how things are shaking out. Because things are getting more expensive, and we didn't increase prices this last year, and all the costs continue to increase. So we are going to try our best to keep prices the same, but I don't know, to answer your question. We're already 11 minutes over, so I don't know if we have time for another question. I think we're going to probably hold off, and I'll try to answer any questions I missed tomorrow online. So if I missed your question, I'll try to text you back tomorrow, because I think we did miss a few, but appreciate everybody tuning in and watching. Our last giveaway of the night is our 39-hour trip for one lucky winner. Want to make sure we mention our giveaway sponsor. We have a giveaway sponsor now, Innovative Pools and Spa. Innovative Pools and Spa brings 35 years of experience to building pools in the Tampa Bay area. If you're in the Tampa Bay area and you're looking for a pool, check them out. They continue the legacy of their father's company, which was recognized as a top pool builder in the Tampa Bay area for 35 years. Plus, they're continuing to raise the bar on pool construction, design, and features, and they have an unparalleled passion for the industry, along with a deep-rooted commitment to the community and unwavering dedication to excellence. Call them today at 727-788-1650 or visit them online at innovativepoolsandspa.net for an estimate to see why Innovative Pools and Spa is the top choice for our local community. So thank you, Innovative Pools and Spa, for being a giveaway sponsor of the show. Big shout out to our friends at Gator Jim's Tackle for being our presenting sponsor. Check them out, Gator Jim's Tackle, 3301 Pinellas Point Drive South in St. Pete. If you haven't stopped by to see them, you're missing out. Killer deals, amazing selection, great people over there. So check them out, both Innovative Pools and Spa, Gator Gyms Tackle, and hopefully we'll see you for Final Friday this week. That's right, it's Final Friday coming up. So hopefully we'll see you for Final Friday. Hopefully we'll see you, that's this Friday from 6 to 9 p.m. Hopefully we'll see you October 8th at Bartow Ford. Hopefully we'll see you Saturday, November 23rd for Fishing for Hope. And every Sunday, hopefully we'll see you right here at 7:30 p.m. for our live stream show. If you're a supporter, our supporters after show will start at 8:55. 8:55, the supporters after show will kick off. Josh is going to drop the link in the chat if you want to become a supporter today. It's only $4.99 a month. For those asking about the stars, I hope the stars will be back soon. We're trying to get Facebook to answer our messages, but no one seems to want to help us. We're trying to fix the stars situation because that helps a lot. So hopefully we can get those fixed for sure. But stay safe out there. Stay dry this week. Stay tuned to our updates. We'll keep you abreast of the weather and what's going on with us. Don't forget to vote yes on 2. And hopefully we'll see you soon inside John's Pass at Hubbard's Marina. Thanks for being a part of our Hubbard's Marina family. Don't forget to tell your friends about this show. We'll see you next week and a friend. Bring a friend next week and every week to the live stream show. 7:30 p.m. right here. With that, let's find out who won our last giveaway of the night. Brought to you by InnovativePoolsAndSpa.net. 39-hour trip for one lucky winner goes to, let's see, Bubba. What's up, buddy? Congrats, Bubba, on the 39-hour trip for one lucky winner. We'll see you guys next week for another episode every Sunday at 7:30 p.m. Thanks for being a part of our Hubbard's Marina live show, y'all. Have a good night. Tight lines, we're out.